Hey y'all, this is Brett, and today I want to talk about a bunch of different things, colors and countries, and my own preferences in regards to what I would like, say, a flag to represent for me. And sure, I live within a country. I was born here to what many consider to be the best country overall in the world because of the freedoms that we enjoy. But there are, of course, as many of us in the health field know, many things that aren't such great advantages to living in a society that is generally kind of spoiled, for lack of a better word, and very wasteful, extremely wasteful. Like at Green Life yesterday, I was noticing in the eating area that they're no longer using very many. They've got a few metal forks, but for the most part it's plastic spoons, forks, and knives that people just basically use one time and then they throw it away. And this is at Whole Foods, Green Life. And so basically they've decided, well, those little things take too long to wash, they're too much of a pain, and we don't have the labor for that. And so basically we live in a speed world, a convenient speed world. And then there are other countries where people don't have anything. They don't have, like, a pot to piss in. And it's not really funny because they're starving and they don't have enough water or food or shelter, etc. And then there are places with war and all kinds of things. So in many ways we are very blessed at the same time. But if I were to choose colors for my flag, my own personal flag, let's say that I created a vegan community and we were to create our own flag, I would like to include all of the different colors, not just an aggressive one like red, or a mental one like blue, or a neutral one like white. There are lots and lots of colors. And when the founding fathers of this country decided to choose some colors and a design, they did a nice job, but at the same time, it was very limited. And that's what their mindsets were, very limited in their thinking 200 some odd years ago. And they created, it was somewhat similar to the British flag, red, white, and blue, but just a different design. So if it were up to the heavens, it would save everyone on earth. But if it were up to the earth, it would eliminate all of those things, those beings that were unnecessary and overpopulated. And that's kind of how it is with religion. You know, the people that are right-wing conservatives, they want to save everyone. And the people that are more liberal, earthy people, they're like, no, let's save the earth and fuck all the overpopulation. And you know, there has to be some kind of a balance there between the two. Neither is completely right or wrong. Now you see, there's a guy down there, and he is weed eating my grass. And he likes to weed eat, and he likes to weed eat, and he likes to mow, and do various other things with small gas burning motors that are burning close to him. But you know, I wouldn't want to do that because I've educated myself now, and I know better than to do something that's exposing me constantly to something toxic. And so that's just more thoughts for you to ponder on. So then the question might be, well, my God, what are we going to do to keep the grass mowed? And the Amish people would instantly answer, well, we use a sheep. And then the city people would all of a sudden say, well, yeah, right, like I'm going to have a sheep out in my yard all the time. You know, so you can see that there are some major challenges for people, for humanity. And this is just on a basic and simplistic level here, and we're talking about mowing grass. And, you know, there are so many other things that the animals offer to us that we need, and we're going to need a lot more from the animals, the resources that they offer, like poop. That's hugely important for replenishing the soil. And so anybody that doesn't think that we're largely, in many ways, going to go back to the days of the old, they haven't thought about these things very much, have they? So I'm downtown the other day and I see this thing, this tourist thing that people can do, where about 15 people can sit on this multi-person bicycle and pedal. 15 people, 16 people. And then one guy sits in the middle and drives it, steers it. And it's a tourist thing. It's not geared for environmental friendliness. But this is where we are going to go in the future. Because people need exercise, right? But they're going to need to actually accomplish getting from point A to point B. So can you imagine seeing one of these things going down the road, right? On a 500-mile or 1,000-mile trip, where people will go, they'll ride on this for 100 miles a day, and they get there in a week or two. And they get their exercise every day. And the thing goes like, maybe it'll get there faster, because it'll go maybe 40 miles an hour, because you've got so many people pedaling it. And then maybe you've got a trailer on the back of it. But, you know, I want to be there now. I want to live in this world now that is more progressive and just not all of these, oh my God, I'm not going to get into it. I'm not going to say it. When you get sick, you start to see things in a different light. When you breathe the chemicals and you educate yourself on environmental illness, then you start to think, well, I don't want to go back to that. You know I'm not going to be going out there and breathing that. I can already breathe it a little bit through the window. So just more stuff to ponder on. So ultimately we've got to get to this point of where we're staying in the center more. And how you stay in the center is by focusing on the breath. And today I'm not doing that very well at all. But yesterday and the day before I was doing it quite a bit. And basically what that does is, when you're focusing on the breath and not on other things in your life, then that keeps you closest to the divine and in the center. And in the center is where you can always go out. If you're out here, though, and you're wanting to get over here, say here's the center, and you're over here, and you're wanting to get over here, it's a lot harder to go clear over there. But see, somebody that's in the center can go any direction, any time that they need to. And their minds aren't in this chaotic state all the time. So I'm going to get that. So here I am, I'm sewing golden fields of honey fabric, and then I get this phone call, and all of a sudden, blam, a woman wants to order golden fields of honey for a pillow that she just ordered. And so that's the law of attraction in action. And there are so many different things that, you know, you focus on Russian women, and guess what? Russian women will come into your life. And I'm telling you, There is no coincidences in this world. Everything that you think about, that you work on, that you do in your life, there are probably energies, angels, whatever you want to call them, that are manipulating everything to go with everything. And you're not going to get anything that you don't deserve. And you are going to get everything that you focus on if you deserve it and keep working on it. I had this girl that wanted to sew for me, and she came over and she seemed decent, and so I went over to her house to see her sewing facility, her sewing machine, etc. And I'm firing up this Juki machine, and it was dry as a bone. Like it hadn't been oiled. I was like, "Do you ever oil this?" And she said, "No, I let them oil it when I take it in." You know, you only take a machine in like once every year or two or something if you're not you don't know what you're doing with oil in it. And I said, "Well, you can't do that. You've got to oil your machine regularly. You've got to take care of the machine." And she was a psychologist, and just shortly thereafter she called me and she said, "No, I don't think that this is going to work out with us." And I think I really offended her, because it was kind of like the machine was about to seize up. It would have seized up had she not put something on it eventually. And it just sounded like metal rubbing on metal, you know? and this woman proclaimed herself to be somebody that was a professional sewer, at least moderately professional. Well, even total freaking amateurs need to know that they need to oil their machines, you know? And there are so many things in this world that I just look at and it's like, it reminds me of my mom. I'd go home after having not been back to Utah for years and years. I haven't been back there for 10 years now, but I'd go back there after when I was younger, you know, after a year or something. I'd be like, "Mama, have you changed the oil in the car lately?" And it was always like, oh, about 40,000 ago. I think there's a sexual thing with that, because women don't do well with machinery. So, you know, I want to live like in a kind of a community, a progressive community. But one of the problems that they have in like the hippie communes is that people have a hard time getting along. And if there's anybody that has a hard time getting along with people, it's me. I'll come right out and admit it, because, you know, I'm just very opinionated, you know that. I mean, that's probably why you watch me, right? You want to hear all the shit that's going on in my mind. But and I'm not afraid to exclaim what I'm thinking, you know, right out. And I don't generally think ahead of time before I just open my big freaking mouth. But like, sometimes I wonder to myself, I wonder if I'll ever go to that fruit festival, the Woodstock Fruit Festival. Like, and if I did, would I survive it, or would I get stoned to death? It's not like I don't like fruit, but it's like, you know, fruitarians, they're some of the most extreme and like obscure thinking, like anti-societal, I mean, far beyond me generally. And the nice ones like Christina, the really nice ones, I mean, those are so fucking few and far between. Most of them have deep-seated issues, as I mentioned in that video the other day. So I have this like idea on how I can live kind of off-grid, if you will, but still just live with myself, be by myself for the most part. And I thought maybe I'd build a trailer a small trailer, holistic actually, and tow it behind my car and just kind of go, just like put all my stuff in storage and live in this trailer, and I could live in it in campsites, you know, 20 bucks a night, 25 bucks a night for campsites, or just in various places that I could park it, you know. People are doing this. You see them here in Asheville all over the place. Some of them will be here, they'll pull up in these giant school buses, you know. And this thing that I'd build wouldn't be very incognito. I mean, yeah, I could cover it with bushes. I could cover the car with bushes too. So maybe I could park it in the bushes and it'd be camouflaged. But if you saw it driving down the road with bushes all over it, it'd be kind of not too inconspicuous.